So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and today I'm speaking to Sam Stiles, the Community Outreach Coordinator for End Violent Encounters, or EVE for short. Sam, what does your job entail?
Hi, yeah, I'm Sam Stiles. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the community outreach coordinator, so that's a little bit of everything. I give presentations on domestic and sexual violence, stalking, and elder abuse. I also do healthy relationships, consent, and boundaries presentations for like high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools. Right now, I'm in the middle of creating a webinar series for EVE, so we can do educational webinars as everything has switched to a virtual platform over this last year. I network with other local organizations to provide survivors just the best services that we can in this area. I do event planning for awareness events, and then I also run our social media account.
Sounds like you wear a lot of different hats in your job.
Yeah, kind of a Jane of all trades.
So, can you tell me what EVE is really all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So at EVE, our mission is to support domestic and sexual abuse survivors, as well as survivors of stalking and elder abuse, just on their journey to healing, and then to empower our community through education and awareness. So we're a nonprofit that serves Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton County in Michigan, and we provide healing and compassionate support services to survivors. So those could be things like advocacy, counseling, crisis intervention, safety planning. We do children's programs. They're all non-judgmental, supportive, strengths-based approach programs. They're client-centered. They're offered to anyone and like everyone in the area. They're completely free and confidential. And it doesn't matter when the abuse took place. So if the abuse took place 2 days ago, we have services for you. And if the abuse took place 2 decades ago and you're just now ready to talk about it, we still have services for you. So really, it's just about empowering survivors to get back on the right path to healing and empowerment.
That's great. What is EVE doing to raise awareness of domestic and sexual violence?
Yeah, so this month we've done a couple different sexual assault awareness presentations. All of our social media pages are focused on awareness this month as well. But then we're also doing some fun, exciting things this year. We're doing Paint the Town Teal, and that's happening all month long. So businesses are invited to, paint in any way that they want their storefront or door. Just to show survivors that Lansing is here for them and that we care about them and that they're not alone. So this could be done with like window paint or chalk or ribbons, anything, supportive messages, just, trying to show survivors of harassment, sexual assault, sexual abuse, that our community is here for them and we know about the problem and we're trying to make it stop. We're also doing we're calling a go-a-thon, kind of like a walk-a-thon, but more inclusive, moving your body. And for this, we're asking folks to move 20 miles or 20 hours over the course of April. And as they do this, they can get their friends, family, social network, coworkers to kind of sponsor them and donate as they complete each mile. And then as they're completing these miles, they can take pictures, they can take video, and then they can post them on social media. And we're using the hashtag going the distance with survivors or using the hashtag Lansing believes survivors. So just kind of fun, different things that we're doing just to show survivors that they're not alone, that we're here for them, and that the community stands with them.
That's great. Have you actually done the Paint the City Teal before? Because I think I've seen like teal ribbons around the community where I live.
We haven't done like an official, event like we have this year. We've been trying to, it's still in early stages. It's the first time we've done it, but there are businesses and stores and just great organizations in our city that actually take it upon themselves to just show support during the month of April. So I'm hoping that this year, it'll from small beginnings, it'll gain some traction. And in the years to come, we'll just see more and more teal every April, just as a sign of support and awareness.
Absolutely. That would be great to see.
Yeah.
So why is it important to talk about and raise awareness of domestic and sexual violence?
Absolutely. I think that domestic and sexual violence by nature can make survivors feel very alone and isolated. The community sometimes might further that feeling of isolation or just aloneness. Maybe it's, by blaming survivors or minimizing or ignoring, assaults or abuse. And if people don't feel safe and welcome to talk about what happened to them, they're going to be silent. And then that's like that problem's going to perpetuate, right? So it's on us to stop this, and we have to create an environment where, survivors do feel safe and welcomed and accepted. And we just need to start by believing them. That's the biggest thing that we can do. But then also we need to start holding perpetrators accountable. But, where we come in as a community is we all want this to stop, right? I don't know a single person other than perpetrators who don't want sexual violence to end. Um, and it's a difficult conversation to have. I understand that it can be hard and it can feel really uncomfortable to talk about sexual violence, but we can't solve a problem that we don't acknowledge. So this month is a great opportunity to have those difficult conversations with our friends, families, loved ones, whoever, about sexual violence, why it needs to stop, and why it's important to us to each do our part to end it. And then furthermore, I think that, sexual assault awareness is just so important because, like I said, survivors can feel very alone and very isolated. There's so many negative emotions that come with sexual assault, guilt, fear, shame. There's still so many stigmas surrounding being a survivor, but awareness helps reduce that. So, hopefully this month just reminds folks that if they've experienced assault or abuse, that it's not their fault, and let them know too that there are places here in our area, there's options, there's resources, and there's help available when they're ready to get it.
Has the COVID-19 pandemic affected the amount of domestic or sexual assault or violence? And if so, in what ways?
Yeah, so unfortunately it has. Disasters like hurricanes or pandemics or war, anything like that, it disrupts society. And so it changes our environment in pretty much every way, and that includes violence, So when a disaster occurs, suddenly everything's changed on such a large scale that our sense of well-being changes too. It causes a lot of stress and a lot of panic. And what happens is abusers lose control. We've all lost control, since the onset of the pandemic. Our daily routines, all these things were interrupted. So that loss of control, it's everything for abusive people. That's the reason they choose to assault others, or that's the reason they, hurt their partners, is they need some type of control to feel okay about themselves or to feel okay about their life. And so then they'll do anything to get that control back. And so that's why we see an increase of, domestic and sexual violence. It's not that it suddenly creates violence in people where there was no violence ever before, but it increases violence to people who are perpetrators, or, the severity of violence. And so all of that culminates with, of course, the pandemic. We needed a stay-at-home order to keep folks healthy, but that furthered isolation. So, for perpetrators living with their spouse, with their significant other, with an ex, that isolation meant that they suddenly had 24 access to them. And, beforehand, maybe folks had an opportunity to go visit friends and family, kind of get a break, escape this violence, this assault, this abuse, whatever it is. And then suddenly that was taken away. So that loss of social support and kind of respite from, the abuse that happens at home, or, in a private setting, that unfortunately also, caused an increase in sexual and domestic violence over the past year.
Is there a way that people can get involved to help EVE's mission of supporting domestic and sexual abuse survivors on their journey of healing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that folks can do. You can volunteer, you can donate, and that's, donating time or your talents or money. You can attend awareness events or watch, webinars online. Little things too, just like sharing social media articles that show support for survivors of sexual and domestic violence, or that hold, perpetrators accountable. You can just call around to your local domestic or sexual violence shelter, of course, EVE included, but there are many other great organizations in our area. Ask them what they need, see if there's anything you have around your house that you can provide them with. And then two, do what you can to disrupt rape culture. When somebody makes a joke about rape or sexual assault or domestic violence, speak up and say something. Say, hey, that's not funny. Or, hey, that's actually a really serious topic and we shouldn't talk like that. doing things that show other people that like you really care about survivors and that you want others to care too. But honestly, just the most important thing that anyone can do is when a survivor comes forward to you is to just believe them.
Absolutely. I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but are there any upcoming events people can be a part of or anything that they should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, we actually have a big one coming up on April 24th. It's a Saturday at 10 a.m. We have teamed up with Sparrow Hospital, and we are hosting a socially distanced rally and support. Masks are required. It'll be outdoors. There'll be resources available to survivors. We're going to hear from survivors in the community as well as community members explaining, why awareness is important and what we can do to help. There'll be some fun activities, and we just, like I keep saying, we just want to let survivors know that they're not alone, that there are resources available for them, and that we can be here to help uplift and empower them. The event is completely free, open to anyone and everyone who wants to come, and we're just hoping for great weather.
Yeah, let's hope so. I hope it stays nice and sunny for you guys. Well, those are all the questions I have for you today. Is there anything else you'd like to add in regard to Sexual Assault Awareness Month?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I've said, just to all of the survivors out there, whether or not you've come forward and disclosed what happened or not, if you're not yet ready, that's okay. You're not alone, and there are people here who care about you and who can help. And it doesn't even have to be through Eve. There's just dozens of amazing organizations in the Tri-County area who can support you, and we can help get you in touch with wherever you need to go to get that support so you can start your journey back to safety and healing. And yeah. I think that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for speaking to me today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.